In this lesson, we'll be looking at responsive design. How many devices do you currently have in your household? You probably have a mobile phone or a tablet, a laptop, or a desktop that you use to interact with the digital world. And my guess is that you have more than one device. The user interfaces you create need to work on a variety of different devices, browsers, and screen sizes. Have you ever tried to use your phone to navigate a website that wasn't optimized for mobile? It can be a really frustrating experience. Some of the text might be cut off, it's difficult to navigate, and even if you turn your device sideways, it still might not work properly. That's why responsive design is such an important element in user interface design. So what exactly is responsive design? Well, according to the Nielsen-Norman Group, responsive design is a development approach that creates dynamic changes to the appearance of a website or application depending on the screen size and orientation of the device being used to view it. That was a mouthful. In short, it means your interface layout adapts to the screen that it's being viewed on. Since responsive design has become a fundamental part of creating any user interface, there are multiple schools of thought on the best approach to take. Should you design the mobile version first or the desktop version? The answer is that it depends. It depends on which device your users are most likely to use most often. Because what looks great on one screen might look too sparse or too dense on another. It's important to consider the information density appropriate for each device. So if you scale up a mobile version of the site to a big desktop screen, there might not be enough information for it to actually have a good user experience. And if you design something mainly for a desktop and you try and scale it down onto mobile and you keep all of the information visible, it can be too cluttered and difficult to work with. Information density is a really important thing to consider, and I'll show you some examples in the following slides. It basically refers to the amount of information that you put in a given space. So when do you use high information density? If you look at the New York Times example we have here, there's a lot of information that they want to show their users. They need to show headlines for news articles, excerpts to get people interested in reading the full piece, photos, updates on the S&P, Dow, and NASDAQ markets, the weather, new podcasts, and the navigation menu. There's a lot going on the screen. But if you view it on a desktop, it works. You have enough space on the screen to see all the information comfortably and still make sense of it all. According to Materialio, Google's helpful resource for user interface designers, when a user views and interacts with large amounts of information, high-density components can create a good experience for them. And I think this New York Times homepage is a great example of that. Things like lists, grids, and long forms are also examples of high-density components. And when you're using high-density components, it's very important to create scannable groups of content. You can do this by using larger margins and padding between components so that there's enough space for your eye to separate the elements. Now, what about mobile? Well, the smaller a user's screen, the more information they will need to keep in their memory as they interact with your interface. It's good practice to reduce the information density on mobile enough to help the user easily consume and navigate through it. Remove any non-critical information that might detract from the mobile experience. Another key consideration for mobile is making your buttons and text links large enough to tap with your finger without touching other elements on the screen. So once you've designed an interface in the XMPRO app designer, it's important to test it on different browsers and devices to check that all of the components display as you expected. So in this photo, you'll see an example of me testing the new XMPRO.com website. I used all of the devices in my household to see how the website worked on various screen sizes. But if you don't have access to multiple devices, you can simulate them using device mode in Chrome DevTools. I've shared the link in the description below this video. It's important to design your apps with mobile and desktop interfaces in mind. This means that you'll need to create a responsive design that adapts based on the screen size of the device it's being viewed on. And when you do this, you need to consider information density and test your interface across various devices and browsers to ensure that it's compatible. In the next video, we're going to cover how to use responsive grids in your layout.